Hello everyone, my name is Amigo Aaron. Today I'm here to talk about the A500 Mini. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, oh, here comes another goof with an A500 Mini review. Been there, done that. But I've noticed that the A500 Mini, once all the big time YouTubers got through with it, they got that early access, they get in there, they tickled the keys a little bit, the fake keys. They had a quick look around, and for the most part, that was pretty much all that was done with the A500 Mini. I got one of these things, and you know how cheap I am. I wasn't going to just put this thing up the shelf as a decorative doodad. I want some action, brother. I wanted to get some action out of the A500 Mini, and I have done so. And I've successfully used this thing during Amigathon last week and on a few streams. And I had some people ask me, hey, what the heck are you up to there, Amigo Aaron? So I thought I'd give everyone the scoop and sort of tell you what can be done given the right amount of cash, the right amount of inclination, and the right guy to work with the software. And so before we get too started, I'm just going to show you a quick look. Here's my Amiga Mini. Now I'm going to show you what I've got going on here so you'll know what you're seeing before we get into the software proper. Of course, you've got the A500 Mini here. Now, as you know, this thing shipped with too few USB ports, in my opinion. You've got 3, and what that does is it limits you if you're going to use a USB for an expansion, let's say. And so what I've done here is I've got this, which is the official A500 joystick, which I really like this gamepad for the most part. It doesn't work great for every game. And then what I went also, to get a second stick, I went out and got this bad boy, which I recommend. This is a Street Fighter 2 6 button. Basically, it's a cloned version of a Sega Genesis pad. This was made by Retrobit. Your mileage may vary, but the one thing I like about this particular gamepad is it has two plugs on the end, and you can see it right here. Of course, I've got the USB plugged in here, but you've also got the BAM, the Atari 2600 or Genesis style port. So this is one of the few sticks that, without any modification, you can use on both your Amiga and your Amiga Mini. Kind of wacky. Now, you're probably wondering, what is all this other mess back here? Well, I kept using the software I'm about to show you and getting corruptions on my USB drive was just to irritate me. I had the same problem with the PlayStation Mini, just corrupting stuff. So I thought to myself, I'm going to nip this in the bud. I'm going to try something. So I went over to Walmart and got me one of these cheap SSDs. These are external SSDs. They're the ONN type. The ONN stuff is the dirt worst. It's super cheap. It's a Walmart sort of generic brand. This is a 250 gig external SSD. It cost me, I believe, $23. I mean, we live in a beautiful world where you can buy an external SSD for $23. I didn't want to spend too much money on this project. I didn't think it merited it, frankly. And so I plugged in the, instead of a USB, I plugged in the old hard drive here. And bam, nothing. Wouldn't work. Why is that? Well, because it was drawing too much power. And so the final piece of the puzzle here is your good old-fashioned, bam, powered hub. Powered hub, doesn't matter what you get, as long as it's powered, you should be good to go. And so into the powered hub, I've got the SSD plugged in, and I've also got the ever-popular A500 Mini mouse, which is adequate. Again, it's not. It's okay. It's not bad. It does the job. But you know, is it a world-class super mouse? No. So what you've got in the back here, to summarize, you've got your Amiga 500 Mini power. You've got the HDMI. You've got your powered hub. It doesn't matter which port you put these in. You've got your joystick and you've got your secondary stick. And then you're ready to go. So what else do you need for this project? Well, you need a little thing called a Aminimiga. Now, Aminimiga is a product that's being worked on, and the fellow working on it, he's got a name on his Discord as Amy Jimmy, but his full name is Jimmy Johansson or Johansson. And he is working on this pretty much. I think he's pretty much a one-man show, if I'm honest. And what you're asking yourself is, what is a Aminimiga? Well, this is the much ballyhooed, basically desktop environment, ability to run the desktop on your A500 Mini. And this is going through constant updating and is a product that's still evolving. The release right now, I believe, is 1.1. There is a 2.0 beta, which I'll be showing you because I threw a few bucks Jimmy's way, and he was kind enough to get me into the beta of this. So I've been using the beta quite extensively, and I think it's a step up. In fact, I would strongly urge anyone to head on over to Aminimiga.com. That's AMINIMIGA.com, Aminimiga.com. Go over there and toss a few bucks Amy Jimmy's way. This guy's working hard, and this is a project that really benefits everyone. If it gets a lot of attention, he takes PayPal donations or Patreon, and he's a real good guy too. I've talked to him I've talked to him behind the scenes. I was lucky enough that he's actually seen our show. He knew a little bit about me, and I'm learning a lot about him, and what he is a very talented guy. And so what you get on this web page when you go here, and I'll put the link down at the bottom, is a demonstration of what he's up to, including stuff with the RTGs, which will be coming soon, hopefully. He tells you what you need to do this, and then he gives you full instructions on how to do it. It's real simple. I mean, it's brain dead simple to get this to work, and I'll show you what it looks like when you get it together. But again, that's a Aminimiga. Check it out, and also I also strongly recommend, if you would, come over and join the Aminimiga Discord. He's got a link here on this page, and he's also got a very active Facebook group, the Aminimiga users group. So give them a look. A lot of friendly, helpful people in there. They're often giving each other bug reports and trying to figure out what to do with them. So, with all that said, get to the matter of hand here. So what do you get here when you have installed this software on a USB device? Again, in my case, I'm using a SSD, and I'll tell you why. Since I put the SSD down, I've had no issues with corruption. I noticed something else, that occasionally when I plugged in my SSD, it wouldn't recognize before, and I think that was partially because of the power draw. I've noticed that since I use the powered hub, that I get never ever have any trouble with the USB being recognized or suddenly falling out. So the powered hub has been a real blessing. So what you're going to want to do, obviously, you're going to have this thing plugged in. You're going to navigate over to the old USB port. Now, I'll tell you, the first thing I would do is back up this file and this file here. And the reason is, if you accidentally were to hit the menu button over these, you would basically need to copy them over, these two files. I've done this more than a few times. I'm not going to say I did it during the making of this video, but it's an easy thing to do. Now, you'll see the Aminimiga V200 and the Aminimiga V200 WHDL. We're going to go with this one. This one's optimized for loading WHD load. So we'll hit the A button to select, and then once you hit select, carefully, with much thought, hit the home button. Once you do this, you will see the system start to load. Now, it does take this a few minutes to load the desktop environment, but not too long. And the activity is viewable with the blinking green drive dot on the Mini right there, as you can see. And so what it's doing now is it's loading this desktop environment. Once you get into the desktop environment, I mean, basically, you are, for all intents and purposes, in an Amiga desktop environment with all the benefits and other sorts of things that you could do here that you couldn't do before on the 500 Mini. So here we are. We are in desktop environment. You can see me moving the mouse around. Now, see what you've got here is a lot of work has been done to make this a nice environment to work from, play games and whatnot. I'm just going to go over some of the icons. He's got a directory here of WHD saves. And these directories here are literally just WHD games. You can see how he's got them divvied up. Now, I never use these, and I'll explain why. You can see he's got the folders for the demos, for games, and for other things. So these are all pretty much the same. We'll come back to the games in a moment. You're going to see that your system has everything you would expect here, plus a few added things. But this is what you would expect to see in these directories. We also got a work directory here. He's got a bunch of stuff in here, including music stuff. You can load this stuff any number of ways. The easiest way to do it is the old bar here. So if you right click here, and you can see what you've got access to. Of course, you've got the about. Go ahead and look at that real quick. There you go. Amigimi and all of his information there. You've also got a README, a reboot. What you normally would expect here. Now here you've got a list of various items. Of course, you've got Directory Opus, Eagle Player, Snoop Dogg. Secondly, you've got your game launchers, and then lastly, your settings. Of course, you will recognize Scalos, all this sort of stuff here that you can fiddle with. The more modern desktop environment. Now, a lot of people enjoy. I like X, but I mention my actual Amiga, and iGame and AGS2 are both good. But I usually use Tiny Launcher. But we'll look at a couple of these. Check this one out. See, it loads up quite nicely, and here you are. You're in the game area here. He does a good job categorizing this. We use this quite a bit on Amigathon on Boats. Got his Mister set up to use this thing. It's a good little item. I should mention also, I do have a keyboard set up back here hooked up to this mess. And there's a reason for that, which I'll get into in a moment. So you're probably asking yourself, well, heck, you've got this extra joystick hooked up. How's that going to work out? Because every time I try that, it thinks the joystick's the mouse, which is the problem I was having. I will show you how you deal with that right away. So first we're going to go here to Tiny Launcher. My personal favorite, quick and dirty. And if you've not used it, I recommend it. And we're going to just go to a two-player game here. We're going to go to Battle Squadron. But it could be anything, if I'm honest. So go here to Battle Squadron. And so you'll see this load up. Oh, well, these are all settable if you would like to use them. Put those on. And these load up quite quickly, and the accuracy is pretty good here. Turn the volume down just a smidge. So here we are in Battle Squadron. And you would like to play a game of this with your buddy. And when you go up here and hit this F2, change that to joystick, we'll hit F5 for 2 players, and then we'll press a button. You're going to notice that joystick 2 goes crazy 8 bonkers. And that's because joystick 2 isn't working correctly. You can see I will pick up joystick 2 here. And look at that. Getting no action. If you can see that on camera here, look at that. No, I'm getting nothing. Okay, there's a reason for that, and the reason is that the Amiga still thinks you've got a mouse in there. Well, why does it think that? Well, because that's what the emulator thinks. So we're going to back completely out of this. Now, You've got a couple ways to go about this. Here's what I like to do when it's time for me to play two-player games. Okay, this thing only detects your two ports, your mouse and your joystick. So now there may be a better way to do it, but this is what I do. So the first thing I do is, once again, I will launch Tiny Launcher. I will once again go back to the game we were going to play, which is Battle Squadron. And you can do this. You don't have to do this in this exact order, but you'll understand what I mean once I do it. So here we are at Battle Squadron. There it is. And I'm lost here. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Now, one thing having a keyboard hooked up with all this setup is this will allow you to actually break out and go into the emulation, which will hit F12. Here we are in the emulator proper, all right, Amiberry. What you're going to want to do here is really, it's best to use the keyboard here, is go up or go down, I should say, to input, and then tab over to the first one where it says mouse. See where it says mouse? You're going to want to click on that, and you're going to want to pick whichever controller you got. Now, it's funny, this thing is detected, despite the fact that it's a Genesis controller, it senses it as a Super Nintendo USB controller. Close enough. Hit the button, and then make sure you tab down here to mouse. And you're going to want to put this thing on, you want to put this thing on a CD32 pad. All right, CD32 pad. Now you're done. All you've got to do now is tab down to the bottom and go to resume. Now you're in. All right, so now we can hit the button here, and this will load up just like it did last time. We would click on the same. Well, we can't. You have to, because we've gotten rid of the mouse. But you could actually use the stick to click on those if you want to. So we've loaded up the game. We're going to go back to the menu. We're going to hit F2, turn that to joystick. 2 players. We're going to press a button to start. And now you'll see, look at that, everybody. 2-player action. You can see they're both working. I'll hold them up just to prove the point. Look at that. They're both working. They both work. I can confirm, by the way, that these will both work with the 6-button games. Yeah, the few that there are. It will work perfectly with those without any problem. We just unpause this and we will move along. So that is how you do it, though. If you need 2 players, it's not that difficult. You'll notice that all the normal in-game keys will work. So what I'm going to do here, I'll try one more game here just to prove some functionality. And I want to move on to another aspect of it. So we're going to go just to prove that you can do it. We're going to go down here to Super Street Fighter DX. I believe that's what it was called. Here it is, DX AGA. Now, me and my brother were playing this on a stream the other day, and I was really surprised at this thing's ability to use all 6 buttons on both controllers. If that's not a sign of functionality, I don't know what is. I was real impressed with that. So we're gonna put that up real quick, just to prove that you can have 2 6-button sticks, and then we will move on. I want to get into the under the hood stuff a little bit. That's Ryu. Throw your fireball, Ryu. There you go. This, by the way, is this the best fighting game for the Amiga? Maybe. It's got to be up there. That's for sure. So that's cool. I always liked the way that looked. I'll tell you something else about these Street Fighter games is that going through them with WHD load is so much easier than flipping through all the various disk swaps. So you can see right here they give you the option to set as a CD32 pad, which is great. And then once you get that down, I'm going to put it on 2-player, and so we can fucking show you the functionality here. We just pick a couple guys. I will pick him, and we will pick one of those Cammy, right? So once this loads up, that all taken care of. Okay, so here we go. Again, if you're not familiar with this game, it's basically the miniaturized version. So you can see here, I'm going to kind of hold this up so it can be seen. I guess I can hold it that way. You can see me, bam, 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 bam. Here's your triggers up here, bam, bam. And you've got all your, so that right there is 6 buttons. Now, we're going to fire up the Genesis this is an apropos Street Fighter stick. So this has all the buttons right here in the front. So bam, 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 and bam. They're even in the correct order, which is so nice. Now I will tell you, I mentioned earlier that I really like the A500 Minis gamepad, and I do. I like it quite a bit. But the crosshairs, the directional controls right here for a fighting game, not so good. They're not the best, that's for sure. They are not what I would recommend for a game like Street Fighter. But still, I mean, you can sure hear 2 6-button stick functionality without any sort of baloney. It works, and so there's that. So we're gonna go completely out of this, and I could have used the on-screen things, but I've got a keyboard here. We're gonna drop out of this completely here. And now we're back. Now, you'll notice that, whoa, I got no mouse action. Well, we know why. We're going to hit back up here. We're going to roll back up here to input. We're going to change this back to mouse. Then you're going to want to make sure that you move the CD32 thing back to mouse as well. So we'll click on that. Now, you'll see on the screen here, mouse stick. I believe there's a way you could set your analog stick up as a functional mouse, so you can have them both up at once. Something that merits trying. I'm not full with it. I'm not super familiar. I've had a real Amiga for so long, and I haven't really delved into a lot of the emulation stuff for a long time. You'll notice here that you've got access to all the. By the way, there's your version of Amiberry we're looking at. You've got access to all of your options, including the option to insert disks, change your configuration. You can see right here, you can change this configuration. It's defaulted here to 68030. You can move this around if you want something to go faster. You know, really all the world's your oyster. You can change the kickstart, everything you can expect. Now, flip side of that is, once you reboot this thing, it all goes back to defaults. I'm sure somewhere in this thing, you may be able to go in and edit a config file that will permanently change what your startup options are. I haven't done it. I don't plan on doing it because I'm not getting that far into it. I'm strictly here to play games. But if you're someone who's going to sit here and do stuff that would require or would be helpful with a permanent update on the speed of the processor or the chipset, there's a way to do it. I have not done it myself. So as you can see, we've got our mouse functionality back. And we'll just go through here and try a couple things real quick. They've put a lot of nice items on here. We mentioned the MP3 player. He's got these split up nicely. You've got your graphics stuff in here, your D-Paint, your Brilliance, all that nice stuff. He's also got his piracy stuff in here, the old Ahoy Matey. You got your D copy, Super Duper Next copy. We've all been there, don't lie. You've got your Office stuff, your word processing. You got to have Final Writer in there. You've got to have PageStream in there. You've got your benchmarking utilities. Of course, you've got to have those, although, you know, I don't know, people love that stuff. This is interesting to me. He's got an internet section here with some of the internet stuff that you could use. I don't think that you could hook a Wi-Fi dongle to this as of now, but I hope that's in the works. That would be nice. It'd be a neat thing to be able to do. And of course, here you've got your system apps, directory opus, and the like, virus scanner. Let's hope you never need that. Development tools. You got Amy Blitz, Amos, all the stuff that a developer would need. Of course, here are games that are not necessarily games you would run on your Amiga, including stuff like Doom and Heretic and assorted other games. And you could go in there and fool with the speed of your Amiga to run these. I mean, we just saw another YouTuber play Doom on here. So this will play Doom and games of that ilk. And then last, as I mentioned this before, here's your music area with a bunch of different music players, Hippo Player, Octamed, Pro Tracker, the whole 9 yards. It's all here. You can go in there and fool with the with screen sizes. You can optimize it for your monitor. Everything here is available to use. And I have found this to be pretty stable. Now, I am not Tin Mark, aka Doug. I have not went through and kicked this thing's tires in terms of all the utilities. But I have played many a game on here. And I've had very good success. In fact, on the stream, we played a game which was actually Super Street Fighter 2 DX that wouldn't run on our Mister boats. So there's some decent compatibility, I think. And I think this does really enhance your use of the Amiga. Now, how do you get out of this thing, you might ask? Well, it's not that difficult. Grab your joystick here, and you just hit home. And you're gone. Now, let me show you what you never want to do. I want to reiterate this. When you're in here, you never, ever, ever, ever want to hit menu, okay, on any of your Amiga startup stuff, because what that does is it generates a config file that overrides the system's ability to do what it's doing with this little hack. So you don't ever want to do that. You're never going to want to set up these things through the game settings menu. If you accidentally do that, you'll have to go and recopy these files off of the original archive. You can't see it on here, but I've got backups of these on here because I've done it a couple times already, because things happen when you fumble around with the controller. It can't be helped. So, conclusion. What are we doing here? Well, what we're doing here is basically taking the A500 Mini to its maximum potential. This thing can run well above what an A4000 can. Of course, it's emulation. You can get away with a lot of stuff in here. The guts of this thing are not what I would call tippity top shelf, but for Amiga emulation, they're way more than you would need. I mean, they've got this thing running PlayStation and whatnot. So, I mean, you can get up there and run a decent amount of stuff with this if that's your bag. I've got a variety of ways to play Atari 2600 games and PlayStation games. I've been in here fooling with my PlayStation Mini earlier today, which does a great job and is very capable, and will run Amiga stuff just fine. That's the funny thing about these minis. Once they're hacked, they're kind of sort of all the same. I mean, you can kind of sort of run everything on all of them. So at that point, you just pick your poison. I do like running Amiga stuff on this, though, mainly because I like the peripherals that came with it, the joystick or the gamepad and the mouse. Of course, the aesthetic is there. Plus, I've got the thing. And if you're going to have a mini Amiga, you might as well have one that runs the majority of Amiga stuff. Does it run everything? No. There's still some software that I can't get to run at the peak that I'd like to. Lionheart comes to mind. It's not quite there. But it runs probably, I'd say, 85% of the library pretty well. And maybe with some tinkering, you can get it to run even a higher percentage. So, anyway, that's all I've got to say. I hope this was informative to anyone that's interested in going after it again. Just to go down the list again, A500 Mini, You're going to want to get a, I've got an SSD. Your mileage on a USB may vary. A powered hub is recommended, especially if we're going to use that SSD because that's what keeps going. A keyboard and a second joystick, unless you've bought 2 of the A500 mini sticks, which are totally competent. I do recommend the Street Fighter 2 stick here from Retrobit because you can use this in your real Amiga, so that way you don't have to change back and forth and try to get used to one. And this one has both the ports built in. There's no adapter. There's no anything. You just swap it. I can literally unplug this and go plug this into a Genesis or an Amiga and be good to go. So something to think about. But I mean, really, it's got a pretty wide array of compatible pads. That's all I got, everybody. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I bid you a fond adios. You know, a lot of people will say, listen, dummy, you paid all this money for this Amiga Mini, the A500 Mini, and what advantages does it have over a Pi? Well, that's a good question. Listen, no one has drop-kicked these minis more than me. The Nintendo Mini, the Super Nintendo Mini, Genesis Mini, they've all been sort of goofy to me if you know what you're doing. If you're the kind of person that would watch a video like this, you know how to navigate yourself around a Raspberry Pi or a heck, I've got an Atomic Pi in there. Any of those will do the job just as well. With all that said, what are the advantages of using the A500 Mini over a Pi? Well, they're available. That's a pretty good reason. They are priced competitively in 2022, given the price of a new decked out Raspberry Pi. This is a cheaper alternative. Even with the added stuff, I think you're going to come, I wouldn't say cheaper, I'd say you're going to come close. Functionality wise, it's going to be close as well. You're in the ballpark. They make things for the A500 Mini to add RetroArch functionality to it, so you can play your other consoles and computers to a certain degree. I guess part of it is the aesthetic. I mean, it's a good looking unit, and I like that. I mean, listen, I'm one of the Amigos. We're going to pick this stuff up because, I don't know, we talked about it for years, and just to see this thing come around is exciting, and the fact that they sold well is exciting. But I can't sit here and tell you, hey, go get this. It crushes like a Raspberry Pi. I'm not going to do that because it's not true. However, but this thing does have its advantages. One of the advantages is the nice on-screen keyboard, which actually functions very well in the desktop environment of a Aminimiga, and is fully functional as far as I could see. You can use it to escape games and whatnot, so it does a pretty good job. I have read that if you've got a joystick with or gamepad with analog controls built into it, sort of like a PS4 stick, that you could use that as a mouse, and so you could sort of get around. There's functionality built into the emulator that will allow that. The recent A500 Mini upgrade, quote unquote, while it did give you the functionality to use ADF files inherently in the system, they also nerfed its ability to run the RetroArch software, which I thought was interesting. I'm not 100% sure why they would do that, if I'm honest. It seems, I won't say petty. I don't know if there's a copyright reason. I can't imagine why they did that. Maybe it was just a byproduct of what they were doing. I don't know. But you know, basically, we're going to play the hand we're dealt. If they upgrade us further, that'd be great. If not, and no big deal. So, with all that said, this isn't a hard sell to get everybody to go out and buy an A500 Mini. If you've got one, though, you might as well use it to its fullest extent. And I think the combination of of a Aminimiga front end and WHD load is a good starting point to have a lot of fun with this thing. What I would like to see is I think this would have been a better seller if this thing had wireless controllers for starters. This thing screams TV console, and wireless would have really fit the bill on this, especially with the onboard keyboard that you've got at your fingertips by just hitting the button there. But the wires kind of stand in the way. I know there's a price issue there. I think some people have gotten wireless working on this. I haven't tried it, to be honest with you. It's partially because I like the controller so much. Plus, I'm using it to stream, so wireless is not a big deal to me because I'm sitting right on top of the thing.